11月4号，第4届进博会在上海开幕。作为全球第一个以进口为主题的博览会，进博会吸引了无数跨国企业的目光。据统计，共有58个国家和3个国际组织参加国家展，来自127个国家和地区的近3000家参展商亮相企业展，国别企业数均超过上届。西班牙就是127个国家中的一个，将连续4年参加进博会。过去3年，进博会对西班牙企业有何溢出效应？进博会又如何促进中西两国的贸易关系？西班牙驻华大使德斯卡亚做客南财对话栏目，分享西班牙与进博会的故事。
Hello, Mr. Ambassador. It's my great honor to have you here. Let's talk the CIIE first, since the CIIE is coming. In recent years, some Spanish companies have entered the Chinese market by the CIIE. How do you think about the CIIE?
Well, the CIIE is a very important exhibition. The Chinese government has made a big effort to put it together, and we are very appreciative of this effort. Our companies will come, like they have come every year. Some of them have really done good business, particularly on the agri-food sector, but also machine tool and other technological industries. However, of course, it is a problem because many businessmen cannot come to China because of the epidemiological restrictions. So we have to work with the conditions that exist, hoping that, of course, these conditions will improve in the future and that people will recover the normal mobility and businessmen will be able to come back to China normally as in the past.
How did Spanish companies benefit from the CIIE?
It is very important to get in touch with the Chinese market, with the Chinese businessmen, and obviously the CIIE is a very important and a very big event. Many people come from all over China, so for our companies it's an important event.
What are you looking for the first CIIE?
Well, as I said, I am looking forward to the presence of some Spanish companies, particularly on this agricultural sector and food sector. We appreciate very much the growing presence of high-quality agricultural products in China, but we want to enlarge this presence to other products from our high-tech sector, because Spain is a developed country and has also very important industries in other developed and high-tech sectors. So we would like to extend this presence to other sectors in which some of them we are already there, like machine tool, for instance. But I would like to improve that presence and to enlarge it and to make it more powerful.
Do you think how the CIIE will stimulate global economy?
China is a big market, so any event which promotes the import of goods into China obviously will stimulate global economy, and it is important to do that in a moment in which some voices have questioned the continuity of the openness of China to the outside world, to the outside markets. We are convinced that the success of opening up and reform will obviously has been due to the openness of China to the outside market. And it is important to continue with this openness and to improve the mechanisms of connection and globalization. Globalization is not a question of it is possible, it is not possible, desirable. Globalization is a fact. However, it has to be well organized, and if some things are not working properly, we have to correct them.
Mm-hmm. The train from EU to Madrid is very important for China-Spanish relation. Would you like to talk a little more about the train?
Yes, the train has offered an alternative way of transportation for many goods. That has been very important, for instance, during the pandemic, for the import of medical products from China into Europe. We have to correct the imbalance between the two directions of the train. The trains normally go very full of goods to Europe and come back not so full. So we have to correct that to improve the presence of European and Spanish goods in the trains coming back from Spain. But on the whole, the train, I think, is a big success because it is certainly faster than the sea transportation, which has, of course, also in the last few months gone through difficult times. And it is cheaper than air transport. So it is a very important means of transportation. Yes. And we're very happy that this train is running between China and Spain.
How do you think about the current China-Spanish trade relation?
Well, I think we have done some important progress in the last year. Our exports have improved, have had some success in some sectors. I would like to confirm this tendency and to enlarge this growing presence of Spanish goods in China to other sectors, and hopefully we will succeed in doing that.
Would you like to overlook the future of China-Spain trade relation?
I think it is important to keep working, as I said before, on the openness of the market. The Chinese market is very important, and therefore we are interested in having as much access as possible to this market, eliminating some barriers which still exist and making it a more level playing field between foreign firms and Chinese firms. We would also like to. We are happy that the Chinese the authorities have recently opened up a market to other sectors, and we would like to see this applied also, this more openness applied to the service sector, because the service sector is very important for the development of the internal market, which we know is important for China. And in this service sector, Spain has a lot of experience and has many good companies which can be very active, and I think could help a lot to the Chinese consumers and to improve our trade relations.
11月4号是北京2022年冬奥会倒计时3个月的日子。3个月之后，全球冬季项目运动员将齐聚北京，一起争金夺银。随着奥运圣火来到北京，各项测试赛轮番上演，北京冬奥会的脚步越来越近。德兹卡亚表示，非常期待这场体育盛会，并预祝北京2022年冬奥会将取得圆满成果。此外，作为拥有悠久历史的文化大国，他希望中西两国在文化领域能有更多的合作与交流，令文化成为两国沟通的桥梁。
We all know that Ule is playing in La Liga. Would you like to share some information about our cooperation in sports?
We have good cooperation in sports. We are actually negotiating a new agreement on sports cooperation between Spain and China, which I think is important. And I think it is also very good that this is happening on the year in which the Winter Olympic Games are going to take place in Beijing. And we wish all the success to these games. Our sportsmen and sportswomen will come to compete, and we are looking forward to seeing what they do, and in general to see the success of these games.
As you mentioned, the Beijing Winter Olympics is coming. Are you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope I will be able to witness, to go as a spectator to some of the places or the stadiums where the games will take place. I have my son here with me, who is hoping that we can go together to see some games and some sports events. I mean, this is a major sports event, and we are very excited about it.
Have you visited the stadiums?
I visited them, yes. Last year I visited them in a visit organized by the Chinese government, and I was very impressed by the quality. And I think many of them, of course, are stadiums which are already used for the Summer Olympics of 2008, but not all of them, obviously, because Summer and Winter Olympics are different. So I think the Chinese government has done a very good job in preparing everything, and we are sure everything will be perfectly ready for the games.
You have lived in Beijing for several years. How do you think about Beijing?
About Beijing? Well, I've been living here for 3 years, as you say, and it's a fascinating city combining the many monuments and a lot of evidence of the history of China, which is a long and very important history, and the art of China, and the culture of China. And at the same time, it's a major modern metropolis full of modern buildings and presence of people who are very interesting people. So Beijing is a very exciting city. It's a very exciting city to live, and I feel very, very, very happy and very privileged to live in this city.
Did you visit other cities like Shanghai?
Oh yes, of course. I have tried to travel around China as much as possible because China is not only Beijing. China has many other places to see. Last weekend, for instance, we were in Chengde. Chengde is a fascinating place, but Shanghai, Guangzhou, Xi'an, Chengdu, we like very much traveling around China.
Mm-hmm. I think culture is another part for China-Spain relation. Do you think how to enhance cooperation in this area?
Well, China and Spain are two countries with a long history and a very important culture with global projection. Our culture is known all over the world, your culture and our culture. So we have to be responsible because we have a treasure in our hands, and we have to cooperate as countries who have this treasure to make it better known to other countries and to actually use it as a bridge between our two countries, because we understand each other maybe a little better because we come from far away, and from a long time ago. We have gone through many things, and we would like very much to bring to China more Spanish exhibitions, more important exhibitions. We are opening actually an interesting exhibition in Shanghai next week or in 10 days with works, reproductions of works from El Museo del Prado in Spain. And we hope to bring more cultural events in the future, and we hope to bring, of course, that also China will organize in Spain more cultural events. I think culture is an important bridge between our two countries.
How about tourism?
And tourism too, but this, which was growing very fast before the pandemic, now is practically has stopped because of the restrictions to mobility. So we hope that in Spain now tourism is starting again. This summer was already much better than last summer. We see a clear tendency for the growing of the market and the tourist, the presence of tourists both in Spain and Spaniards going out. So we hope this will be possible to do with China also, because we were having a growing number of Chinese tourists in Spain, and we also having a growing number of Spanish tourists in China. For that, we have to see when would that be possible, considering that now the restrictions to mobility make tourism very difficult between our countries.
联合国气候变化框架公约第26次缔约方大会正在苏格兰格拉斯哥举行。英国首相鲍里斯·约翰逊将此次会议描述为人类的转折点。美国气候特使约翰·克里则表示，此次会议是避免全球范围内环境灾难的最后一次最佳机会。毫无疑问，解决气候变化问题已迫在眉睫。对此，中国提出2030碳达峰、2060碳中和的目标。德兹卡亚表示，这是一个需要付出很多努力的承诺，他确信中国将履行这一承诺。不久之前，德兹卡亚参加了在昆明举行的生物多样性公约缔约方大会第15次会议，他点赞了中国在保护本国生物多样性方面的努力，并强调，保护生物多样性是应对气候变化的重要斗争。
How do you think about COP15?
I think it's very important because the protection of biodiversity and the fight against climate change are two things that go together. China is playing an important role in protecting biodiversity in its own territory, and I'm having contacts with the Chinese authorities in order to improve our collaboration on protecting biodiversity, also on oceans and in other parts of Antarctica and other parts of the world. And I am very happy that we can work together on that.
Climate change is the main challenge for all countries. How can we do for climate change?
We have to fulfill our commitments. The problem has been identified, the goals have been set, the commitments have been accepted. And this is something we owe to our children, because this is a planet which they must inherit in conditions which are acceptable and in which they can live fulfilling lives. So it is a big responsibility that all governments will fulfill their commitments on climate change. It is not a matter of blaming others, you do it better, you will do it. That is not the point. The point is to have a common planet. If we don't do our due, our responsibility, all countries, this planet is not going to be to have the same conditions for living for our children and our grandchildren, and this would be a great responsibility. If this generation, in the end, has the ability, the tools, the understanding of the problem to take the right decisions, and if we don't take them, it will be a big responsibility for us.
How do you think about China's policy on green recovery, like carbon neutral 2060?
It's a very important commitment, and we understand it is a commitment which requires a lot of efforts and certain sacrifices. It is not easy. We are convinced that having been a commitment made by President Xi Jinping himself, this will be fully implemented. And I think the contribution of China is decisive. China, because of the level of emissions, of CO2 emissions from China at this time, because of the dimension of the Chinese economy, because of the dimension of China as a country. Without China, this goal is not attainable. And we are happy that this commitment was made, because this commitment shows that China is willing to make the right decision. For that, you will also need, of course, to establish concrete plans with year after year goals and to decide on concrete specific objectives that you want to fulfill, but on a special timetable. But this is something which we know will, the important thing is that the commitment was made, and we are sure that China will fulfill its commitment.
What kind of role of China-Spain relation will play to deal with this issue?
Well, we have very good relations. We can talk about many different questions, including difficult questions, because between friends, if you talk from a position of respect and friendship, you can talk about anything. And on this question, even though it's a complicated question, we can talk to China and we can see how we can review our own commitments, because Spain also has its own difficult goals to achieve, how we do our own home task, homework, how China does her own homework, to compare our experiences, to help each other, and to try to cooperate on this common goal.
All right, thanks so much for your time. Gracias.
Gracias. Sí, sí. Sí, sí.